Welcome to the final episode of Financial Futures, the podcast series powered by doValue. Today, we explore a powerful dimension of financial sustainability, responsibility. What does it mean to act responsibly as individuals, institutions, or governments in a financial context? How do our ethical choices shape long-term outcomes, not just for our own lives, but for entire communities and economies? Join us as we unpack the intersection of money, ethics, and impact, and reflect on the values that guide sustainable financial behavior in an interconnected world. In this final episode of our three-part series, we explore a powerful concept, financial responsibility. With us again are Mr. Francesco Bicciato, Executive Director of the Italian Sustainable Investment Forum, and Mr. Nikolaos Philippas, Professor of Finance at the University of Piraeus in Greece and Chairman of the Hellenic Financial Institute. Let's start with the basics. What does it mean to be financially responsible?
A behavior is financially responsible if it takes into account not only personal interest in the present, but also the interest of the community, now and in the future, adopting, as I said many times, long-term perspective. So it's quite important to have an approach multi-stakeholder. What does it mean? That is, financial is engaged with everyone. So the citizens, the big investors, small and medium enterprise, big enterprise, etc., the whole system of society. And measuring the consequences of financial action is crucial to ensuring financial responsibility.
Mr. Philippas?
I totally agree. To me, it means more than just paying bills on time, as usually some economists said. It means making informed, ethical, and long-term choices, understanding the consequences of our actions. In many ways, for me, financial responsibility is a form of responsible citizenship.
What happens when individuals or institutions act irresponsibly? Mr. Bicciato, what is your viewpoint?
The consequences of irresponsibility can include financial crisis, a high level of public debt, lack of investment in crucial areas, and lack of transparency and disclosure. So the consequences are really big, and financial irresponsibility can also lead to loss of reputation, increased greenwashing, and public distrust. And this is the reason why we lived in our recent history a long time of crisis of, for example, banking system on financial system. The central issue is transparency and disclosure for me. And the responsibility is of everyone, not only investors or some other financial actors.
Very true. This is precisely what we saw during the Greek crisis, both on the government level and among households. Short-term thinking, lack of transparency, and weak planning all contributed. It should be noted that in Greece, net savings has been negative for the past 20 years. This is very important. While at the same time, gambling has skyrocketed, a trend that poses serious risks for younger generations who are being exposed to it from a very early age. But we also saw that rebuilding responsibility is possible through education and stronger institutions.
Can people be taught to be financially responsible? Or is it more of a cultural or personal trait?
I totally agree with what Mr. Philippas said before, because I think that we can rebuild the responsibility. There is the possibility to taught the financial responsibility. It's not a cultural trait, but rather a political issue and a matter of trust. This is quite important. Rebuild a trust, we can say. Communication is very important on our social media channels, especially. We always try to tell positive stories about sustainability and financial responsibility. I mean that you can use social media channels in a positive way and not only in a negative way. Our aim is to explain this concept to people with a friendly language close to their everyday experience.
Mr. Philippas, cultural or personal trait?
In my opinion, it is a bit of both. We can teach people how to make better choices, but culture matters too. Families, schools, the media, these shape our habits and attitudes. That's why at our institute we work not just with students, but we engage with parents, teachers and professionals as part of a holistic financial education ecosystem that supports responsible citizenship across all levels of society.
Are banks, corporations and policymakers doing enough to promote financial responsibility?
Yes, of course, they play a crucial role, a central role. They can serve as a models of financial responsibility. It is important for banks, corporations, and policymakers to provide clear information, simplify procedures, and improve accessibility to financial tools and products. With our permanent working group on engagement, for example, this is what we are doing in Italian Forum. Since 2021, we promote a dialogue between investors and companies on ESG issues. In 2024, our engagement initiative involved 46 investors who met 19 listed companies. I think that the dialogue is absolutely important, especially in the framework of the just transition process.
Unfortunately, in Greece the answer is definitely not. Only do values making coordinated efforts on this issue. The 5 major systemic banks in Greece are limited to providing some basic financial concepts which are not sufficient for citizens to understand a complex financial system. They have a moral obligation, offering fair products, educating customers, avoiding aggressive or misleading sales tactics. These are all part of financial responsibility. It's not just about profit, it's about trust.
Finally, what practical steps can we take to build a culture of financial responsibility?
But I think a cultural change is needed, both within companies and the institution, and externally through policy measures, financial education initiatives, the promotion of financial responsibility in everyday financial behavior, and communication campaigns. Let me say only this, that I think that now, in this particular historical period, this is absolutely necessary because a lot of message regarding sustainable finance is attacked by many places, and what we are trying to do is to provide a right message that arrive to everybody, but especially to the policymakers at the national level, local level, and European level, and global level also.
Personally, I think it all starts with awareness, education, and providing good examples. But we also need policies that encourage transparency and fairness. Financial responsibility must be seen not as a restriction, but as a value that protects everyone, especially the most vulnerable members of society.
So financial responsibility is more than just managing money. It's about building trust, thinking long-term, and making choices that reflect our values. Thank you for joining us through this series of financial sustainability, literacy, and responsibility. We hope this series of podcasts powered by doValue has offered meaningful insights and inspired you to think differently about what it means to build a sustainable financial future. Because knowledge is power, but only if we act on it. Find all the episodes on Spotify, follow us on LinkedIn. Until we meet again, be mindful, be responsible, and remember, the future of finance starts with the values we choose today. Thank you.